Chop, chop, chop it down. Chop, chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop it down. Chop, chop, chop. Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball. Man. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Hey, bruh. AJ, bruh. Oh.
And you can see me dancing,
bruh. Yes, I don't think you. I see everything backstage, bruh.
I was like,
"Hey, bruh, I can't believe it, bruh. I'm in tears over here, dog, and nobody saw it but me, bruh.
I never knew you could see.
Yes, I see everything, bruh.
I wasn't tripping.
He was in his element,
bruh. Oh my god, bro! That was the funniest thing that nobody else is gonna be able to see, bro. We got robbed. Oh, welcome back to another episode of the Trap or Die podcast. I am your host, Molly Ball, in here with AJ and Dre, the fellas. Amani, I see you. Pedro, I see you. OG, I always forget your name. Roger. Yeah, I think that's your name. I see you. Fellas, how y'all doing, bro?
I'm laughing at that comment, bro.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean we ain't even start the show yet.
160.
We might as well attack that first.
Yeah. We ain't got too much to talk about, but we do got Forbes on the top of everybody's mind. I know something bothered you all this weekend with Mina Kimes. I thought it was an interesting discussion based on how she kind of phrased it. So we'll tap into that after we talk about Emmanuel Forbes. But yeah, the topic or the name of our show today is, just Will Emmanuel Forbes. I actually think I spelled his name wrong, so I gotta double check that. I think I did. Will Emmanuel Forbes bounce back in year 2? Yeah, it's interesting, bro. Like, I think a lot of people, bro, it was funny. The picture, the Photoshop with the pretzel legs, that was funny. But it didn't pay no mind. I didn't pay no mind to it too far, like this weekend. But I thought it was interesting, the conversation that picture generated, just about him, but also even tracing back to last week was the mini camp or something like that. Just hearing some of the things that they had going on for him in mini camp was interesting too. Let's kind of like dive into the Emmanuel Forbes situation from top to bottom, right? Last year wasn't kind to him at all, and that's me putting it nicely, on the field. Also think that last year was a lot of controversy behind his name, fellas, because at the time in which he was selected, who was on the board? Christian Gonzalez was on the board. And there was a lot of people out there who were interested in Christian Gonzalez. I was indifferent personally. Y'all can let the people know how y'all felt. But I was indifferent personally. I was intrigued by the fact that he was, like, when you have a stat like leading the league or leading a college football in a certain statistic, it don't even matter what it is, but you're interested in that person just automatically. You want to know what it is. But he was selected. The frame concerns played out to be true. One of the things that I noted when I watched him in college was, like, he made business decisions as a tackler. And in the run game, he was a detriment to Washington. I can't forget the Thursday night game, right, where Chicago ran all over him. But also when they ran to his side, like, prime time, there's nobody else watching any other game, and he's embarrassing himself in terms of his effort in the run game. And even to tackle DJ Moore after he made 1,000 catches that night was embarrassing in itself too. Last year was rough for him. This year it's a new regime, it's a new coaching staff. What do we think about Emmanuel Forbes, as he heads into this second year, where can the expectations be? Is it like super low, or are we reestablishing the expectations as like somewhat high, given that he has new coaches and coaches that he can probably trust a little bit more, given there's a new environment in Washington?
I mean, I think for me, when it comes to Emmanuel Forbes, I feel like in the draft process, he wasn't my number one corner. I was a Christian Gonzalez guy from an overall perspective, whether it be the height, the ability to still run and fluid enough hips, whatever. But I could see also why Ron Rivera and his staff would be interested in Emmanuel Forbes, especially when they're having problems generating turnovers. I think they just felt like if they just put him out on the field, like the ball would just come to him like a magnet. That sounds good and all, but you got to scheme those things up. You got to do things to marry the pass coverage, and I think that's where it'll play in Emmanuel Forbes' benefit working with guys like a Jason Simmons, as I mentioned in the past, Joe Witt Jr., Dan Quinn, and having a former player like a William Gay to help him with the different nuances and the techniques that he needs to get down packed. Because last year, we've been fair, the defense as a whole sucked ass. And on top of that, they're getting coached by a guy that was coaching high school football. Like, he's never coached on an NFL pro level defensive backs or anything NFL related. So it's like it's hard to kind of expect a guy adjusting to the league and the other nuances of the game and not having someone that can fully prepare him to be in the position to make plays on the ball. But even with that poor coaching last year, you were still able to see the intangibles that Forbes brings to the table. In order to be a ball hawk, you have to have high football IQ. And I felt like we seen some of that displayed on the field just from a natural standpoint. A lot of people are going to kill him because of the A.J. Brown game, whatever. But it's like A.J. Brown is one of the best wide receivers in the whole game. He's an elite guy. Everybody's getting cooked by him on a regular basis. Like, the whole league is. And there's very few corners in the league that could say, oh, I shut down A.J. Brown. There's a reason why he gets paid what he gets paid and why he's revered. And a lot of teams are trying to replicate getting an A.J. Brown on their wide receiver room. But I just feel like I'm not concerned about Emmanuel Forbes' weight. I'm not concerned about any grown man's weight. The only grown man weight I'm concerned about is my own damn weight. You feel me? Like, I'm not about to be sitting here engaging with people about if someone weighed 140, 180, 160, pretzel legs, whatever you want to call it. He'll shut your ass down if you ever had to strap up on the field with him. And at the end of the day, there's guys that weigh more than he weighs, and they suck. So it doesn't really matter. There's guys that are shorter than him that suck. There's guys that are taller than him that suck. It's all about playing football. But, like, as we were preparing for this topic, I went and did a deep dive on, like, even just the Commanders as a whole. Like, last year, the team had only 8 interceptions for the whole season. Do you know that Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., the defense that they led, Deron Bland had 9 interceptions for the season alone, just himself. Like, just put that into perspective. Then in the previous seasons before that, Trayvon Diggs had like 11 interceptions himself. Like, in the last 2 years, the Washington Commanders have only had 20 interceptions combined over the 2 years, whereas the Dallas Cowboys, I think they had like 33 interceptions as a team in the last 2 years. This specific defense is predicated on turning over the ball. Joe Witt Jr. said that in his opening press conference. You know, we want to get our hands on the ball. No diddy. But that's what they want to do. And it's a marriage between the defensive line and also the defensive backs. If you can apply pressure, you can force the quarterbacks to get the ball out their hands quicker, make more errant passes, and allow your playmakers to be able to make plays. So I'm not really concerned about Emmanuel Forbes, man. Like, the last thing that's really on my mind is that I think just look at the success that they've had with a Trayvon Diggs. He's not a shutdown corner by any means. Deron Bland is not a shutdown corner by any means. He actually was projected to be their number 3 corner going into the season because they also signed Stephon Gilmore to go alongside Trayvon Diggs. Unfortunately, Trayvon tore his ACL early in the season, but Deron Bland, a 4th, 5th round pick, came in and made an immediate impact, ended up breaking the NFL record for the most pick sixes in an NFL season. And even when he played his rookie year, he still had 5 interceptions. Like, I mean, who's to say that Emmanuel Forbes can't do the same exact thing? So I just think that people are just bored. They're looking to nitpick on the sides, but I feel like he gave enough effort to be able to be a NFL corner in this league, and I just think we got to wait to see how the coaching staff takes to him and how he takes to, what they're also teaching him.
Pedro, look at that Denver game. See that? Look at that play he made on the sideline.
The first 2 weeks, he should have had a pick against Arizona. He probably should have had 2 picks against Arizona. Like, he knows how to route match. Like, yeah, like you said, Mual, like that pick against Denver, he baited Russell Wilson into that interception. Like,
and he almost had a pick in the Eagles game too against AJ Brown. So I mean, it was plays where it was games where he could have made the plays. But I do understand what Pedro is saying, and also Pedro, to answer your question, yes, I do have a German Shepherd, and he's being clingy today because it's storming outside. But yeah, I mean, as far as the expectations for Forbes, I mean, last year, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I wasn't too upset like most fans were that we passed over Christian Gonzalez. Like, I mean, because I understood the process at the time, as AJ kind of alluded to. You wanted a playmaker, like you had Ben St. Juste on the other side, who he was he's a solid corner. Even right now, he's a solid corner, but you don't look at Ben St. Juste to say playmaker. So the thought was we're getting a playmaker if you're choosing him and Christian Gonzalez. I mean, that was kind of a reason why I wasn't interested in the Maryland cornerback last year, Deonte Banks, because he wasn't so much of a playmaker in college. But I mean, I think it was a classic case with Forbes of last year. He lost confidence. I mean, once that AJ Brown game happened, it was like, as a corner, you need confidence. You got to have that confidence. And I thought that game right there kind of shredded him a little bit and brought him down. But as AJ kind of said, with Dan Quinn and them coming in, it could be how they scheme things. Maybe they get him, back online. But I mean, my expectation for Emmanuel Forbes, to be honest with you, is got to be a little bit downgraded. Because at first I was when Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. and all of those guys got put on, I was actually kind of getting excited about Emmanuel Forbes because I was like, oh man, I saw what Deron Bland did in the defense. I saw what Trayvon Diggs became in that defense, and I thought that was kind of a good comparison because Trayvon Diggs, his year 1, he was getting cooked, but then year 2, he came back out and he played well. And now he's known as a playmaker or a playmaker or a ball hawk that you want Emmanuel Forbes to be. But when I look back at the Forbes, why I'm lowering my expectation for Forbes is because listening to Dan Quinn this week, I mean, he said something that kind of is a death sentence for players. Usually it's like, all right, we want to try him at punt return. Now, I get it, punt return, maybe he can do something. He has return skills. But at the same time, it's the part of me is thinking you're looking for something for him to do because maybe you don't envision a bigger role for him in this defense at this point. So at this point, I'm kind of questioning, are they searching for a role for Emmanuel Forbes? I mean, we may get into this later with Jamin Davis as well. I mean, that may be something else we're going to talk about as well, as far as kind of searching for a role. Yeah, as far as searching for a role for a guy on the team. And that's what's kind of worrying me about Forbes at this point. And that's not necessarily that I doubt his ability or, doubt that he can become better as year 2. But now I'm kind of doubting what the coaches see in him. So that's one of those things we got to kind of monitor and see, and maybe he does become a punt returner. Maybe he's a successful punt returner. But as of right now, it's a little concerning to me that they're trying to find a role for Emmanuel Forbes.
I got a couple angles on this. I want to start with AJ's just in case I forget that one. So I think there was a couple aspects where it's like frame isn't a problem until it shows that it's a problem on the field, right? Like you don't necessarily trip about a person until you actually see what they can do on the NFL level and like how their height, weight affects them. And I think for Emmanuel, I think that's ultra important because it impacts your usage ability. Like when can they use you, right? I think about certain people who are a liability in the run or the pass. And it's like, how can we scheme him to have this person play some good situational football? Not necessarily related to Emmanuel, but just speaking generally. But then you focus on Emmanuel, and I think for a person who came into the league with no injuries out of the SEC, essentially, right? And your first year playing professional football, you have an elbow injury. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had a slight injury before the elbow injury. But the big one was the elbow one that ultimately had him in that brace. And he missed I think he missed some time too before that.
He had the elbow and then he got a concussion.
Yeah, so
one of the games.
Okay, so a concussion in that elbow injury. So I think about the frame part, right? It's not a problem until it's a problem. And I think that for Emmanuel is something where you're like, all right, how durable can he be in a 17-game season? I think that's important. It's also important to note how much more physicality can you get out of him in this coaching regime? Because if you're asking for a defense who's going to be physical, fine to the football, right? No fear, right? Like they want that dog. Can you expect that out of Emmanuel without a shadow of a doubt? And that's for everybody, all of us in the chat, and us to think about. Like, can you say without a shadow of a doubt that he got it? And I think those are angles that you have to consider when you think about Emmanuel Forbes. I think for me also too, when I ask those questions, I think about what Dre said. He's getting reps on special teams. I actually don't think that's a concern for me, honestly, because I don't know if you all remember this. When Jahan got here as a rookie, one of my biggest things was trying to get him at punt return. And people were like, nah, you don't want your first round pick at punt return. I'm like, well, look, at the end of the day, you need somebody, especially in your first rounder. If you want anybody returning punts, you want somebody who is a playmaker back there. Like I don't.
He did that at Penn State too.
Exactly, and I never
Dotson did it, but Foles never did that in Mississippi.
Yeah,
State.
We just talked to Santana like a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned what he was doing at punt return and sometimes kick returner.
Yeah, so like and the reason why I don't have it being a problem is because they're experimenting right now where nothing even matters. So they're trying to see what they got out of them, right? And if it is something that can enhance his abilities as a player and bring value to the team, like I think that's what they're doing. They're searching for that in so many different individuals. And I think for Washington and for Emmanuel Forbes, you're looking at a person who is really in a situation where it's a fresh start. I want to find a way to contribute to this team, but I also want to find a way to get my groove back defensively. I don't know what it's going to look like at cornerback, but I know if I get the right coaching and I take this seriously, right, and I add something to my frame, I don't know if he did or didn't. I'm saying just thinking forward. Like if he did add something to his frame, that's good for him. But I think this is a good opportunity for me to build that rapport with this coaching staff and see something. Like when you get, I mean, he played receiver in high school. Like it ain't like he didn't know how to maneuver with the ball in his hands. Emmanuel Forbes, he knows how to get some yards out the kick. I think
he returned punts at Mississippi State too for a point in time.
No,
as well.
He actually didn't. He didn't do it there. Yeah, that's what Dan Quinn was actually saying. He was like, he didn't do it at Mississippi State, but he said that he had such good, return skills on his interceptions that they want to see his return ability on special teams.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I was at. Just trying to respond to both y'all. Like, I think that there's some merit to having them look at it. I think that Emmanuel Forbes, you can find some good in them trying to see if he can punt return, but also like I can't casually like dismiss the frame thing when that first year told me his frame brought some injuries in that first year. So I gotta see some shit with him.
Well, Maul, let me ask you this, Maul.
What's up?
Which concerns you more, Jaden Daniels' frame at quarterback or Emmanuel Forbes' frame at cornerback? And let me also say that Emmanuel Forbes' legs just don't look normal to me for any NFL player.
Hey, that's a tough question. I thought about that, but I mean, honestly, I understand the quarterback is the most important position, but I think that I don't think that Jaden. I think it's Emmanuel Forbes. Me, I don't know if Jaden's frame like at you're 6'4", 205. And he even for those who don't understand, he actually acknowledges people don't just for some reason people don't listen to the pivot, so they have no idea that he said this before he was even projected to go to Washington. But he said he played at 205. He has no reason to lie. His coaches even backed it up in his pro days or whatever after the fact. Like, he plays at 205. He was never under 200. To that point, I say that to say, yeah, I think it's Emmanuel Forbes to me. That dude was playing like at 185, 180, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think with Emmanuel Forbes is like you've seen in this collegiate tape that he will make somewhat of an effort to be a contributor within the run game. I think it just boils down to him buying all the way in. It's not like he's like making business decisions like Deion Sanders or whatever. At the end of the day, he's still willing to put his body into plays. It's just maybe not as consistent as you would like it to be. As we all know with the game and how it is, you want your corners to be involved in the in tackling in the running game and stuff like that. So I just feel like, man, I'm not going to sit here and shit on Emmanuel Forbes, but I think the main conversation is people not even talking about his actual skill set. They're just talking about his actual weight, which I think is stupid as hell because you don't know the weight of most of these corners out here, and there's guys that are much bigger in weight that can't play at all. Like, I don't know. I'm even seeing a comment. I don't know who Chingy is or Shiggy is.
Undrafted free agent.
Yeah, hell no. Like that's another problem with this fan base. Like, you just fall in love with randoms. Because if you really watch Buddy Tate from Colorado State, he cannot get out of breaks at all. Like, so he's stiff as hell. So good luck with that. But at the end of the day, man, I just think people need to get away from focusing on the weight, focus more so on the technique and how he's going to be employed in this defensive scheme. Because, I mean, he is who he is at this point. He's not going to gain weight because you guys on Twitter. He's not about to eat much more, whatever the case is.
Coach, they said I'm too slight, man. I need some cheeseburgers, dog.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's eating damn good, making the money that he makes. But some people just can't gain weight like that. I just feel like we need to focus the conversation on the technique and how he's going to be utilized as a Washington Commander, whether that be a punt returner, kick returner, they try him at free safety. I don't know, but I think that he still has a place within this team at corner and possibly starting, opposite of Ben St. Juste. But they did bring in some veterans to have some depth and also to provide some competition. And Michael Davis from the Chargers. They brought in Noah Angbangangwe. I don't know how to say it all the way, but he was with the Miami Dolphins and Dallas Cowboys. So I think those are some veteran corners as well that can help Emmanuel Forbes in the locker room and help him with different things. But I think that once Emmanuel Forbes gets out there, whether it be preseason or early in the regular season, and makes some plays on the ball, gets a pick or a pick six, all that kind of goes away. Because at the end of the day, it really just boils down to the technique.
Honestly, I think it does too. For the most part, if he can get one of the things that really hurt him, I think, and it's the last thing I got to say that hurt him in the first year was the fact that he was a little late in getting his head turned around to the football, even though he was like most of the times, like some of these catches, he's right there on the receiver's hip. But I think the zone coverage thing is going to be interesting in terms of like how effective he can be this year, in a good way, because that's one of his strengths coming out of college. And for whatever reason, Del Rio and Ron Rivera was on what the fuck mode last year. So we're gonna see what's up. But speaking of people in new positions or experimental positions, Jamin Davis was a person who also had some new looks over the last couple of weeks, getting some edge rush reps. What do you all think about that?
I mean, I think Jamin Davis. I don't think he's like a high football IQ type of player. I think in his situation, he's so athletic. He has I think he's like 6'3", maybe 230, 240, runs a 4.4 40. I think that's a guy where he can't necessarily play as instinctive as you would like for a middle linebacker or whatever. It's best for him to just come downhill and go after the quarterback. Even in some situations last year, they used him as a spy. Felt like they should have did that his rookie season. But, now playing off the edge, I felt like that's his best strength. He's a pass rusher, whether that be lined up at linebacker, rushing through gaps. Now coming off the edge, it'll be a bit interesting to see how he utilizes his hands and stuff. Maybe he goes and gets some more work. Maybe he goes to like a pass rush summit that Von Miller, but Max Crosby and Cam Jordan do in Vegas. Maybe he goes there and learns some more ways to utilize his hands. But I think this staff is going to use as many people as a collective to get after the quarterback, whether it be at linebacker shooting up the gaps with a Chin, a Luvu, even Bobby Wagner blitzing. But then off the edge, we see how they got Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, Clelin Ferrell, and now you add Jamin Davis into the mix coming off the edge. That's just how I see it. Like, I think that's the best thing for him to do. But to sit back here and say, like, he's going to be a middle linebacker eventually one day, I don't see it because he couldn't get off of blocks in college. And I felt like that's why it was a bad pick when they made the selection of Jamin Davis over JOK out of Notre Dame. So if you can utilize his athleticism, because he damn sure is athletic as hell, that would be a bonus if it pans out. He can bend them corners and get after the quarterback.
But one thing, right quick, Jerry. Remember I was talking to y'all about Luvu. As I just started watching him, bro. Yeah. I think that Jamin is better than him in the run game. Like, and I'm interested in trying to figure out like how are they really going to work the science in terms of when they want to use these three guys. Obviously, I think Bobby's going to be the one guy that they primarily use, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think that Jamin, after 3 or 4 years of watching him, like I see somebody who plays the gaps and shoots the gaps better than Luvu. And Luvu is the prize guy. Obviously, AJ, you talked about it. You kind of have an idea, and I actually that was my assumption after watching it. I'm still not done yet, but that was my assumption. Like they may just try to focus Luvu as a threat in the pass game, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, like we just kind of talked about with Emmanuel Forbes. I mean, now with Jamin Davis, you're kind of looking for something he's good at, which is actually not really a bad thing with this coaching staff, is that they're trying to find the strengths of these players versus keep trying to put them in some kind of box. So with Jamin Davis, this may actually come to his benefit because now, as we've kind of noticed his whole career here, one of the things we always say is he thinks too much on the field, or he doesn't play too instinctively. Maybe he'll be put in a position now where he doesn't have to think so much. And it's kind of funny. We are talking about Frankie Luvu, and Frankie Luvu's reputation is he kind of comes down hill violently. That's what you want out of Jamin Davis. So you got to figure, I know Mual just kind of gave his thoughts that Jamin may be better in the run game. But who knows? Maybe you'll have a rotation of those guys in certain situations. Maybe in more run packages, you will see Jamin out there. And then in the pass situations, Luvu will be 1A, and then maybe Jamin Davis is 1B as far as kind of filling that void. So I do kind of hope that this is a situation where he can kind of find himself here. I mean, this is the last year of his contract. He didn't pick up his 5th-year option. So, I mean, he has to kind of play balls out. This is it for him, in a sense. And he's going to be hitting free agency next year, and he kind of has a ding on him with the the DUI situation, and then there's a situation where he hasn't kind of put it together as a pro. So this is Jamin's kind of put up a shut up time, and the good thing for him, like I said, you know, in his situation, the coaches are looking for ways that he can be used for impactful. So, I mean, I am kind of optimistic looking at it from that standpoint, because I mean, these coaches have shown a reputation of getting the most out of guys. I mean, I'm even kind of thinking about Dante Fowler. You know, Dante Fowler was a guy, he was top 5 in his draft. Never really kind of panned out as that dominant edge rusher, but he found himself in Dallas. He found his use in Dallas. So, I mean, that's kind of one of those guys, maybe he can kind of hone Jamin Davis in and say, man, look, you know, this what this coach did for me, you know, and maybe, you know, I can apply some of these things or teach you some of these things that help you along the way and progress it. So I'm a little bit more optimistic about Jamin Davis from that standpoint, because I do think that if he doesn't do it now, he'll never do it.
I'll go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, a quick little interesting nugget. I think sometimes we also forget about when you focus on Dallas. The year that they took Micah Parsons in that draft, he was never selected to be a pass rusher. He was selected to be an off-ball.
Yeah, that part's that's important.
Penn State rarely used him as a pass rusher within their scheme, and Dallas didn't really plan on doing so until they had some injuries on their defensive line. I think with Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, and that's what made Dan Quinn kind of say maybe we should start moving Micah Parsons on the D line and have him go after the quarterback. If you look at Jamin Davis and Micah Parsons, like profile as far as like athleticism, they kind of mirror one another. At the end of the day, I think effort is maybe the major difference. Micah Parsons is green light the entire time. Jamin Davis, you know, maybe if he sees something, that's when he'll turn on the burners even more. I don't think they have the same tenacity, but they pretty much share the same athletic traits or whatever. So it will be interesting to see how a lot of these pieces that they have on the defense right now, how they're utilized. Like, I don't know where Jeremy Chin fits in. I don't necessarily know how they plan to utilize Lulu. I don't know how they plan to have the rotation with the defensive ends, or if they plan on moving Jonathan Allen off the field sometimes and letting Dorrance Armstrong line up again alongside Payne. I don't know what's going to happen on the back end. I think it's all up in the air with the defense as far as how they plan to utilize all these players, because they got a lot of guys that fit within what they've been doing in the past and what they plan to do here. It's just, you know, who's going to really make the best of the opportunities and the reps.
Yeah. I'll go ahead, Dre. You got it.
No, I was just going to say real quick. I mean, AJ just brought up a good point, because he's bringing up all the guys that you kind of wonder what they're going to do with on defense. And I've been sitting up there kind of racking my brain the last couple of weeks as what's going to happen with Quan Martin? Where's he at on this defense? Like, I feel like he may be a starter, but then, you know, who's he playing over? What's happening with Derek Forrest? So, I mean, that safety situation, that back end has kind of been, you know, intriguing to me, because I feel like it's talent back there. And we got Quan Martin in the second round last year. We had high hopes for him. He started coming on at the end of the season. And then Joe Wick comes in out the breaks already talking about him like, man, we really like this dude. So I want to see him kind of go out there and stand out and take whatever job, because I want Quan Martin on the field.
I do think this Quan Martin, I'm with Jay Tyler, Jay Tizzy. I do want to see Quan at the free. If all things equal and we had to pinpoint somebody to play a primary position, Quan at free. But you know what's
Derek
crazy?
Forrest?
I was about to say,
is he the odd man out?
So look, that's exactly what I was about to bring up. It's crazy because, you know, you got Jeremy Chin, and I have no idea how this staff feels about Derek Forrest. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but you bring in Jeremy Chin, a person who can essentially do a lot of what you're asking, or what the previous staff asked of Derek Forrest. I have no idea what they think about Derek. And this is about to be his third year, right?
Third or fourth, is it?
Yeah, third.
Third. Yeah.
Third or fourth. Third. Yeah, like you bring in a guy in Jeremy Chin who has that experience, but also has success at a bigger or on a more consistent level, right? I don't know what they're gonna do with Derek, or what they want to do with Derek. He may be going back to special teams, bro.
And some of the comments are saying slap, but Mikey Sanders still gonna have
Hell no.
Y'all must be playing Madden. There's no way.
Derek ain't never played. Hell
You
no.
drafted Mike Sanders to play slot specifically. Like that is the main thing he's gonna do. So that is one position, along with the two defensive tackle position that we know is even the middle linebacker with Bobby Wagner, we know those are locks. Like everything else defensively is up in the air, but nobody's playing the slot besides Mike Sanders. However you say his name.
Well, you gotta think though, when they go down, they're gonna have two slot guys. They're gonna
even with that, you could put
Quan back there. I mean, put Quan in slot.
You could put Quan there, or you could bring in the Noah guy or Michael Davis into those positions.
Yeah, Davis too. Yeah. Well,
so it's just interesting.
They're a little thin back there.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Right.
We'll see. All right. Where are we at? Oh, Mina Kimes. Where is all right? Here's the clip. So Mina Kimes said this. I don't know when she said this, but
she said it last week. I happened to just be
Friday.
Yeah, I seen it like the night before, or whatever. It just came up on my YouTube. It was just playing in the background, and I just thought it was an intriguing conversation. I can't necessarily say if I agree or disagree with her. I just thought that, for someone of her caliber to bring that to the table, as far as having the conversations of who could possibly be on the hot seat at head coach, I thought that was intriguing. I just thought, hey, let me bring it to the gram. I mean, not to the gram, but to Twitterverse or X world and see what people have to say about it. And I'm still hoping that we can get Mina on here to further elaborate on that.
We'll see about her. So quick question, because I actually missed this. We'll be quick, and then we'll get to Mina. I think this is a yes or no for me. Does Jeremy Reeves make the team? Do we think so? I think he does. I mean, special teams it is who he is. And he's always been that. No disrespect to special teams. It's just like that's how he earned his keep. I think that he'll have a position so long as nothing changes right there, bro.
Hey man, we don't care if that man make the team or not. How about that?
I think it was in context of the DB conversation. If we gotta be fair.
Hey, that's the last person I've thought about on this team.
Look, no, he gonna make the team, man. I mean, because they actually re-signed him. Like he's one of the few guys from last year that they actually re-signed, and I think they're gonna take special teams serious, especially with the special teams coordinator they got from Seattle, Larry Izzo. He'll love Jeremy Reeves, man. He's special teams matter, AJ. Even if he's not a returner, the special teams matter, man.
I mean, it matters, but it's like this all pro Revo thing, like, hey man, like just make your money, my boy. You feel me? I don't see him getting any actual defensive reps. So,
all right, here we go. Here's Mina Kimes on the Mina Kimes show.
Oh, hold on. Before we start, didn't they draft? They drafted another safety too, Dominique Hampton.
Yeah, Dominique Hampton
out of Washington. So
he got like that Jeremy Chin build.
Damn, yeah, they do got it's
Revo could be in jeopardy, regardless of the fact they brought it back.
I don't think so, man.
Or Dirk.
Or Defoe, but I don't
know. There you go.
I think Defoe stays.
He could be a trade candidate, I mean, Defoe.
What they going to trade him for? A 2027 second round, third round,
6th round, a conditional 6th round pick, maybe
they might trade him for
laugh in our face.
They might trade him for the college football 25 game.
Hey, I need it. Give it away on Trap or Dive. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh yeah, hey bro, I got my system, man. I bit the bullet.
I told you to take it back though.
I'm not, but I don't. So I got the Xbox. I was already Xbox, but I got the Series S. But I got the Series S only.
Dude.
So I was a PC dude starting in 2021. That's when I got the PC. I was always Xbox. And I was PlayStation and Xbox for a while. Then I started just getting one console. But when I found out that they wasn't doing NCAA on PC, I was that's my game. I'm not going to not get the game. So I had I had to make a decision. But AJ, I got the Series S because all I'm gonna do is play Madden in NCAA on it. I'm not about
But
to
they don't have no
But
crossplay though, do they? There's no crossplay.
They have crossplay
X,
on they have crossplay on
Madden.
like play on head to head, but not on online Dynasty.
So they got it on Madden. They got it on Madden crossplay for franchise mode and on the online. But NCAA is going to introduce it later on. It's not going to start off right off the bat. Like it'll be an update where you'll be able to do the Dynasty cross-platform. But the reason why I was telling you to take back the Series X and get S and get the X is because, like with the X, it allows you to utilize 4K, Dolby, more storage.
Why did you recommend Xbox?
It's a faster process.
I don't care about that. Yeah, I just want to play the game.
But I mean, it's a faster processes. Like, I mean, I got both, so I can't really complain because at the end of the day, they weren't cross-platform at the time, but now it's like I really don't even.
I'm team Xbox for L, Dre. It ain't no swing. How much was a PlayStation?
Xbox did me dirty some years ago, so I don't mess with Xbox no more.
I think PlayStation is like 400.
Damn, for real? PlayStation 5.
I think like an Xbox Series X is like 300.
Yeah, I got that. It's 340, the Series S. Yeah, so the PlayStation 5 is the same cost as the Series X. That's basically what it is. Okay. All right. But yeah, I can't wait. Anybody want to smoke? Y'all know what time it is, bro. Y'all go ahead and find me, Henny Mual, bro. EAID. Shout out, I'm handing out 40 burgers on niggas, man. God. All right, here's what Mina Khan for like the third time, fourth time. Let's see what Mina had to say.
I mean, look, you get into the Eagles and the NFC East. So here's the thing about the NFC East, though. You could argue that every single coach in this division.
Yes.
I'm going to say 4 because
I completely agree.
Yes, Dan Quinn did not make my top 5, but he could. If there is one coaching hire this year, right, who might be the one and done, it would be him. I do not believe he was their first choice. I also
would give that away.
I'm very nervous about the situation that Jaden Daniels is walking into behind that offensive line. And if it looks bad, to me, new ownership, I could see him getting the axe. So he's on the hot seat. Dable did make my top 5. I have him at 5.
He's 5 for me.
Yeah.
He's 5. Well, so the other thing about Dan Quinn is if he's going to be a victim of his own success, if Jaden Daniels looks good, because people are going to want that job in a way they didn't want it 3 months ago. There were people calling Adam Peters saying, just so you know, it might be available this year.
I like that you're factoring into the attractiveness of the job into these, which, I mean, it is unique this off. The number of very, very good head coaches sitting, watching, waiting on the phone is unusually high with Belichick, Vrabel, Carroll all out there looming over these teams, all with an obvious desire to continue coaching. And that might, as you said, with Philadelphia, but even beyond.
So that was Mina. Who wants to take the first stab at this?
I mean, I take it because AJ, we were both, talking to a few people going back and forth about this. But I mean, I personally just didn't think it was a very reasonable take. I thought it was strange because, if she was talking about Carolina Panthers, I would say, okay, all right, I can see it because we kind of figure that owner has shown that he's kind of impatient and he's a little bit on the Dan Snyder side, that impulsive type of owner. They're just going to, do things however they want to do it. But I mean, this situation just doesn't speak to that's what the direction that the owner will go, that the GM will go. Everything they've done is kind of preach patience. And when you look at Josh Harris, he actually has a track record. You can actually go look at his sports teams. This is not the first sports team he's owned. He owns the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils in the NHL. And one of the knocks on him is that he's been too patient. So, I mean, we've already seen it, even though we can't really put anything last year on him. But, I mean, he let Ron Rivera coach out his whole last year of his contract. He came in, they hired Adam Peters kind of fairly fast, but the interview process with the head coaches, which they kind of spoke on in the sense of why they reasoned the way they reasoned, is because they thought that Adam Peters, they thought that Dan Quinn wasn't the perceived first choice. And that's something that's kind of been getting a little lazy, I think, with the media, because everyone and their mother pumped up Ben Johnson as, a lock to the Commanders. But nothing about that interview process that said they thought that Ben Johnson was a lock. And even going from the whole Ben Johnson thing to the draft process with Jaden Daniels, that whole thing was very patient. Like, I mean, AJ and a couple of people, I think, had conversations early on, like, why don't they just go ahead and say that he's the guy, but they didn't do it, even though it was reported after that Adam Peters really loved Jaden Daniels from the start. They never once came out and, made anyone feel like this pick was a lock at number 2. So, I mean, that was just the patience thing. They go through their process. They go through a due diligence type of thing. And I think that they landed on Dan Quinn as a head coach because he wowed them after everything. I mean, yeah, maybe they did. I do think that there was something to Ben Johnson being a favorite. Maybe he was the pre-favorite before interviews take place. Who knows how they felt at the interviews? I know something came out that said they didn't like Ben Johnson's interview. Some people said that was salty grapes or whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is they went through the process. They interviewed these guys. Dan Quinn got the job, and I don't think that they settled because everything I've heard, they loved Dan Quinn throughout the process. I mean, he was one of their high guys. Dan Quinn is one of those guys I think was higher on front office types than he was in the media, because most people, when they talk about Dan Quinn, they always go back to his Atlanta Falcons stint. They say, oh, well, they lost after going up 28-3 in the Super Bowl, and then they never gained that, momentum again. So that's kind of what people are looking at from Dan Quinn, and he's the retread option, not the sexy retread option. So everyone kind of has him lower on the tier, but I don't think the front office felt that way. And we've seen Dan Quinn and Adam Peters kind of interact. They're working in collaboration. Everything is a collaboration with those two. And if you ask me, I mean, obviously the results are going to matter. Those two look like they have a good working relationship to start off. I mean, we're going to see how this translates to winning, but I just don't see anything from the process that says this is going to be a one and done type of thing, unless it has to go completely off the rails. And off the rails, I mean, not even just losing on the football field. Something has to happen off the field. Like Dan Quinn has to be alienating players. Dan Quinn has to be in the headlines for things outside of football, kind of like Urban Meyer. I think that's the only way you kind of get a one and done type of fire. I mean, it's not impossible, but to kind of expect it or to think that's a reasonable take, I just kind of disagree.
Yeah, I mean, I think where I can agree with them in some regard is all the other NFC East head coaching jobs are on the table, being the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys. But when it comes to Dan Quinn, I think year one, the ownership group will allow him grace. I don't see it being as bad as, the Panthers per se, or being a team that's going to have a top 3 pick in the draft next year. I think that they'll be productive. How much they will win, I'm not quite sure. I'm not really trying to predict any of those things yet, because as we said in this conversation and other conversations, a lot of stuff is up in the air. Mina in that conversation mentioned offensive line play. We don't really know who's going to make up the offensive line besides Tyler Biadasz at center and Sam Cosmi at right guard. Outside of that, we don't know who's the starting left tackle, who's the starting left guard, who's the starting right tackle. So to say really concerned about the offensive line, it's like, bro, it's football, man. Like, no one has an all-pro offensive line. Like, offensive line is about working in cohesion with one another. That's the main thing, is having that rapport with one another and being able to communicate throughout the games or whatever. So even if you did have a Trent Williams on the left side at left tackle, like, it doesn't automatically guarantee you that you're going to have a great offensive line. I don't think anyone in this chat without using Google could tell you another offensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers outside of Trent Williams. I do think Dan Quinn and Adam Peters do have pressure on them to be successful by year 2. I don't think this is a 4 or 5 year opportunity. I don't even think it's a 3-year opportunity. I think that the way that they've gone about certain things have been to try to get some wins under their belt sooner than later. I know a lot of people in the fan base is like, oh, you can't accomplish everything in one season, or this is just like a rebuild year. I mean, Dan Quinn straight up told you it's a recalibration. He didn't tell you it's a rebuild. Like, he knows this is his second go-round as a head coach. If he don't get the damn job done and be successful, he's going to be right back as being a coordinator for some team and never get a head coaching opportunity again in his life. This is a guy that has no kids. It's just him and his wife. So football is everything to him. I think that if this team in particular, led under Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, isn't successful by year 2, they have to pivot to someone else because you're trying your best to utilize Jaden Daniels not being under a big-time contract. And by the time Jaden Daniels can get paid, quarterbacks are going to be making 75 to 80 million a season.
I do think it's interesting how they phrase their conversation by, just saying one and done. Nowadays, in my opinion, this isn't like there's a way to actually factually track it or statistically track it. But in my opinion, just like thinking about it nowadays in terms of one and done, that's more relevant to the quarterback than it is head coach. Like the only way head coaches are really outskirted is if you're as bad as an Urban Meyer, or you have an unstable owner like Tepper in Carolina, or even in Arizona, where Arizona and Houston was a weird situation too. They were using placeholders for no reason. They really didn't have a genuine interest in giving coaches a chance there until they found somebody that was actually worth something in their eyes. But with that being said, for Washington, none of that applies. Dan Quinn is here for a reason to really give a new sense of stability, but also establish something meaningful from a culture or locker room standpoint, but also an identity standpoint. And for whatever reason, all the reasons that they know, we only know from an outside perspective, but for all the reasons that they know, he pitched his vision to them, and it was good enough to get the job. I think Dan Quinn here is far from a one and done situation. I think that for him, understanding a recalibration, I somewhat lean to AJ's side in the sense of, knowing that he has to win and knowing that winning is attainable in year 1, but also there shouldn't be in the first couple years, right? There shouldn't be any sense of regression. There shouldn't be any sense of, going in a downward slope. It should be all about ascension. Now, ascension doesn't mean you're winning 10 plus games a year, right? But ascension just means working towards that identity. Hold on 1 second. See, I think he froze. Working towards that identity, working towards establishing what it means to be a commander in the locker room, working towards what it takes to win on a championship level. He froze again. Dre, you here? Let me double check. Yeah, he froze again. He did say it was storming too, now that I think about it. Let's go remove that. We'll wait till he comes back. But working what it means like from a championship level, and making sure that, people in the locker room, people on the coaching staff, they are able to spread that positivity, but also that winning mindset and that championship mindset with amongst everybody that's here. So for Washington, in the way Mina described it, I think that she was completely off base. I also think that based on how she gave her pitch, honestly, AJ, I don't even know. I would definitely love to have Mina on the show, but also don't think she don't even need to be on the show. Like her main pitch was the idea. All right, Dre's back. Her main thought was the idea that, he wasn't their first choice. And whether that's true or not, like, it doesn't matter anymore. And I don't think that a second choice, or excuse me, an alternative to what you thought you preferred, I don't think that's what's the word you described it as, Dre? You didn't think that Dan Quinn was what was that word?
They didn't settle on Dan Quinn.
Yeah. So I don't think that's settling. Like I think settling isn't. I wouldn't view that as settling even if they did want Ben from Detroit, I think that, you know, they have a pool of people that they already liked. And I think that Dan Quinn fit in that pool. And I don't think that's settling, but I think the way that Mina described it, I think that was her argument. And I think it was kind of a flawed argument to suggest because you think that Ben was their first choice and Dan Quinn wasn't, that they fit amongst the coaches who are already on the hot seat, who's had multiple seasons already to try and prove themselves. And all of a sudden Dan Quinn has 1 year. And if it doesn't work, it has to go.
But Mo, isn't that a knock on Adam Peters if you go out and fire Dan Quinn year one?
Hell
I mean, you're looking at Dan Quinn. I mean, you're looking at Adam Peters a lot differently if he's firing Dan Quinn after year one, because something went completely wrong. I mean, you first off, you're questioning, all right, man, does this guy know how to pick a head coach? Second, potential head coaches are looking like, man, I might not have that much long with this guy, and that might kind of cross out some of your candidate pool going forward. So I think there's a lot of fallout that comes from making such a rash decision. That's why I said something has to go really wrong. Like, I mean, I'm talking about outside of football wrong for Dan Quinn to get fired after year one. But I do agree with AJ to an extent that year two, they do have to show something. I mean, you have to at least be trying to contend or compete for that division, you know, year two. I'm not going to put that expectation on them year one. I mean, me and AJ kind of been going back and forth about that because I don't think it's fair to kind of put that expectation on them year one. Now, I'm not saying that I'm expecting a bad season or I'll be happy with a bad season, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't be too hard on them if they only win 6 games. You know what I mean? Like, if they win 6 games and they look competitive and they're showing me something going forward, I can get down with that. But year two, I would expect more.
I think where me and you were like disagreeing in the tweets or whatever was this team under Ron Rivera coaching staff and the players that he assembled for this roster won 4 games last year, right? So if you bring in Dan Quinn, all these teachers of the game, some high profile hires in Anthony Lynn, who's a former head coach of the Chargers, a former offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, even the Detroit Lions. He ended up getting fired in Detroit, which led to Ben Johnson getting the job, right? You bring in a Cliff Kingsbury. You got a Brian Johnson, who was a hot name as a head coaching candidate and called the offense for the Eagles. You have a Ken Norton Jr. You got a Donahue. You got a bunch of guys that it's pretty much an all-star staff that you have. If you can only muster to win 2 more additional games in Ron Rivera, we got a problem. So I do have an expectation for them out the gate, and that's to double the win total that was achieved by Ron Rivera's staff last year. I expect them to win 8 games or more. Like, I'm not saying that it's going to get them to the playoffs. I'm not saying that they're going to be in the Super Bowl, whatever. But if you could put together this new GM, these new players, build out this culture with tone setters that have been within your culture already before and know how you like to get things done. This is your second rodeo as a head coach. You should be able to double the wins. You should be able to get 8 wins. Like I said, I don't see him fulfilling 5 years if he's not winning. I don't know how people could just throw that out there. If you're not winning, you can't stick around for 5 years. I think he has to show improve within 2 years, because then now you only have 3 years remaining of your rookie quarterback's contract to utilize before you got to pay him and max out that contract if he is balling. You feel me? So Mual did bring up a good point. A lot of the rookie quarterbacks aren't outlasting the head coaches. But I don't think that Dan Quinn is in a situation where he'll get fired year one. I also don't see things going that bad. He's a lovable guy. That is why some players have made the commitment to Washington. Also, a lot of the staff has made commitments to Washington because of who he is off the field and how he deals with people and builds relationships. So, yeah, I mean, I am expecting them to win 8 games at minimum, though. That's just how I look at it. Ron Rivera's shitty ass could win 4 games. Then Dan Quinn, if he's a much better coach and has assembled the right staff to get these guys rolling, they should be able to double the wins.
One more thing in that conversation I thought was a flaw that it just reminded me. The the dude, I think that's Danny. I'm assuming it's Danny. He said people are going to be loving. Right. If Jaden Daniels balls out in year 1 in the Dan Quinn era, and on what green earth does Dan Quinn get fired? If Jaden Daniel balls out, why would they fire Dan Quinn and not give him another year to run it back with Jaden Daniels? That doesn't make any sense to me either. It makes no sense, bro.
Who the hell will want to work for Adam Peters after that?
Nobody.
My thing is, who are you gonna hire? It's funny how things played out, man. Like, I think a lot of teams went through the process, so no team just came out immediately and hired a coach. A lot of these teams went through a bunch of different interviews, whether it be Atlanta Falcons, the Bill Belichick's of the world. Of course, they interviewed Raheem. They interviewed Ben Johnson, I want to say. But I think a lot of teams were intrigued of Ben Johnson, the individual, right? And when they did get the opportunity to sit down with him or get on these Zoom interviews, they weren't impressed, just like how it's been the other cycles of him being one of the hot guys, right? So just picture if this team didn't go down the route of getting a Dan Quinn and being able to assemble the type of players and coaching staff. Imagine what this Ben Johnson staff would have looked like. The fan base would have been pissed off. They would have been irate.
I don't think they would have known any better, honestly. I know where you're going, and I agree.
I mean, because they wouldn't have been able to understand, like, these people aren't going to necessarily be able to teach these guys and put them in the right position. And it's a guy going into year 1 of this thing. I think if you even look at Josh Harris from his time of being, just I'm gonna focus on NBA because I don't know what's really going on in the NHL world. But a lot of his coaching hires are guys who have done it before. They're not typically guys that are coming into this thing as a brand new head coach. They're either, I think Brent Brown might have been like a long-time Spurs assistant. He was probably the only like new face to get hired over there with Philadelphia as a head coach. But when you look at the Doc Rivers of the world, even now they got Nick Nurse, who won the championship with Toronto Raptors. Like they normally go after guys that are seasoned coaches, and that's just something that Ben Johnson wasn't. So maybe a team might go ahead and take that risk next year if Ben wants to leave Detroit or not. We don't know. I think a lot of jobs will be up for grabs, but I don't see Washington being one of those jobs that will be available.
Let him find a job in the NFC East. That's gonna be hilarious, bro. Out of all divisions, he found himself in the NFC East after all. Oh, check the chat, Dre. You see that?
I don't know who DC dude is. I can say I rarely block.
He's you. He's you.
I rarely block.
It gotta be for a reason.
No, he earned it. I don't know what he did, but he probably earned it at the time. I mean, nothing against you, dude. I don't know who
he's trying to be you. That's what it is.
Like, I mean, yeah, nothing against you, bro. But you probably did something. I was like, oh man, this is some wild shit. I can't deal with this.
Don't even trip, Dre. I've been getting real loose with my block fingers, bro. You know what I'm saying? Anybody say some crazy shit,
personal.
I ain't got time for you, brother or sister. Hit that block button, keep it pushing. But you can always DC dude find. Yeah, I've been turning to that.
I've been blocking, muting people, whatever. Like, I'll sometimes join spaces and it'd be like this one block person is in the space. Matter of fact, I just had to tell somebody in the space, like, bruh, I got you blocked, so I don't even know how I'm in the space with you for real. So
hey man, I ain't gonna lie to you. My interactions have been much more peaceful on social media, and it's not even just all Commanders related. All right, hey, efficient show, fellas. Dre, man, you know will come out in a couple weeks, right? You know.
Oh, Mayor Kingstown.
First off, I didn't even know that's coming out in a couple weeks. I'm geeked. I did not know, but I was talking about House of the Dragon.
Oh, see what you know what, bro? Well, House of the Dragon, I gotta go back and watch season 1 again because I wasn't too excited about it after season 1. So I gotta get excited about it.
I'm about to end the show, bro.
I'm gonna watch it again though, bro. I'm gonna give it a chance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch season 2.
Yeah, man. I've been
Mayor Kingstown, man.
I'm geek for Mayor Kingstown though. That's my show, and I had no idea that was coming out in a couple weeks. But for sure, I've been rewatching Game of Thrones. I'm on episode 8, House of the Dragon. I've been rewatching that, bro. And it's like I've never seen it before. Like I'm like, bro, this shit's so cool, bro. This is so cool. These motherfuckers, dragons, man. It's like,
hey, man, y'all gotta start watching 90 Day Fiance, man.
I did watch that.
Nah, see, that's too much for me, AJ, man. That's too much.
It's cool, bro.
It's funny. It's funny. I watch it for comedic purposes. Like it's hilarious to me, like the stuff that they be doing. But I don't watch none of that House of Dragon, Mayor Kingstown is like Kingstown, Jamaica.
Nah, man. It's a joint in PA, bro.
That's Kingston, man. That's Kingston.
Kingstown. I don't know.
Not Kingston.
Hey, look it up, though. It's like this.
Nah,
it's like this dude thugging, bro. He thugging in the mayoral office, bro. Making plays in Pennsylvania.
It's nice.
Hey,
all action, bro.
Yeah.
You gonna like it.
I ain't got time for that. I just watch my sports, bro.
He said he ain't got time for that. How you
He
ain't got
just
time
told us
for
watch
that?
90 Day Fiance and now he only watch sports.
Hey,
and what's that
90 Day
joint
Fiancé
you be
is
watching? The joint I'll be watching it too. The YouTube joint, the Pop the Balloon.
Oh, the Pop the Balloon.
Yeah,
I'll be
bro.
watching that.
Yeah, I'm about to say you got time for Mayor Kingstown.
Hey, but I just put that on like when I'm not doing nothing. Like I just let that play in the background. But the Pop the Balloon thing is hilarious.
Yeah, that shit.
A lot of the shows I just watch for comedic purposes. It's like, bruh, you came on this show with these dusty ass white shoes. Like the questions that they be asking, the responses, yeah. Like I can't do the 20B1 stuff, but the Pop the Balloon stuff is hilarious.
You know who I like on 90 Day, bro? I don't know if he's still on. I think he on one of the iterations, but the no neck dude, Ed, bro.
Oh yeah, I seen the clips.
I just turned away.
Yeah,
I just turned away. Right now on this season, they got a dude that is dating the chick from Colombia. He been running it up. Like shorty 19, she driving a BMW. She got her own business that he funded, everything. But back in the States, he live in LA. He lost his job and he going broke. And he don't know how to tell her he ain't got a job no more. So he like pretending like he still got it. Oh man, hilarious.
He better move over to Colombia, bro, and start being. He might be part of that business, bro.
Yeah, that's what he tried to find out, and it wasn't looking too good. I'm like, yo, to buy a chick a BMW in Medellin, bro, is insane, dog. Like that is insane.
That much. Hey,
right.
But look, let me address Telly real quick. Now, Telly, now he just said who he was,
Telly?
so I remember him now. I don't have no issue with you.
DC dude.
I remember exactly why I blocked him now. Now I remember why I blocked Telly. And it was a petty reason because I saw Telly unfollow me. I was like, damn, Telly was cool. I said, I'll just block him, whatever. And I never thought about it again. So no, I don't have nothing against you, Telly. I only blocked you because I saw that you unfollowed me. So I was like, all right, well.
Hey, Dre, I'm about to block. I'm about to block Telly.
I thought it was in PA, bro. I'm about to double check. I thought it might be in Michigan, and I'm tripping. I heard about the bear, and he's not really a mayor. It's his brother that's a mayor, but we doing too much.
He is the
AJ.
mayor now.
AJ, I'm about to say he the mayor now, but AJ ain't about to watch it. Yeah. He need to.
I just asked somebody about the bear. I just asked somebody about the bear like 2 nights ago on FX. But for real, man, I just watch black people on TV, bro. Like if it's Power, BMF.
BMF season was terrible, bro. I was so mad.
Yeah, I think Harlem. I think the Harlem show with Forrest Whitaker is about to come back on.
I stopped after season 1. That joint tough. It's still good.
That joint tough.
Okay.
That joint tough, but like outside of that, I don't be watching TV like that.
I might start it over then. Start it over from the beginning.
This is the time to watch TV though, because ain't no only thing really going on right now is the MLB and WNBA. So this is the time to catch up on anything you're gonna watch.
But honestly, what I've been doing in free time when I'm not watching the games, I've been like trying to dissect Cliff Kingsbury's offense. So I've been watching film of that for the most part.
You might see something different though, AJ, because now you got the blended Cliff, Brian Johnson. Anthony Lynn,
shit
all
different.
these dudes.
We ain't
It's
gonna,
gonna be something.
we ain't gonna
different.
see nothing different.
I'm betting we're not gonna see the
guarantee it,
same.
I guarantee we're gonna see something different.
Hey man, it'd be interesting, but I mean, you know, when you get to focus on just doing one job, it's a bit different. So when you can just lock in on being OC versus running the whole show, it's different.
Right.
But I mean, we'll see. It'll definitely be interesting. I don't think they got the running backs that they need to really extend that running game the way that I think some people are envisioning. But I'm not a Brian Robinson fan, but that's another show. Like, hey.
All right, man. Time to end the show. Let's get ready for the
Teddy Ruxpin. I used to have a Teddy Ruxpin when I was young. That was my favorite toy growing up.
Teddy Ruxpin. Oh, the bear. Okay, I see. Well, all right. Well, you know what I'm saying? You go hug your bear, bro, and watch this final or this conference final. Oh, you ain't got no bear no more?
No, the bear is good. No, I mean somebody say y'all need to watch the bear. That comes back on the June too. The bear
is that the joint with the dude from Shameless?
Lip from Shameless. I still call him Lip from Shameless. Yeah.
Okay, bet. The bear is the joint, the chef show.
Yeah, it's the chef show. Now that joint legit though. Like it's
okay.
This is the third season coming up, so they had 2 seasons.
So somebody else told me to watch that. This is my last thing. We get about here.
I'm watching The Shy.
Oh yeah, The Shy. But I love The Shy, bro. But when they moved it to Paramount Plus, and I ain't got it.
Man,
I'm mad, bro.
Man, Paramount.
Don't spoil nothing, because I'm still trying.
Paramount Plus just got me, dog. I signed up for a free trial. Even made a memo in my phone. Hey, reminder to cancel the free trial, bruh. I think yesterday that joint hit my account $11.99. I was like, damn, I ain't beat the free trial.
Bro, and you still got what? At least 2 months of the show. I may just have to binge it like once the season over, bro.
Yeah, just sign up for a free trial when the season over. And cancel that shit right after.
Yeah, I'm gonna
there ain't nothing on Paramount Plus to utilize.
I'm gonna let y'all have a shot, man, because I heard some bad things about The Shot. People been saying it turned into a soap opera.
Well, the good thing is for you is 6 seasons in, so you don't. I wouldn't even advise you to try and catch up. You ain't gotta worry about it if you ain't start watching it, bro. Yeah. But The Bear, you said 3 seasons. I got time, and I think I have. It's on Hulu, I think too, so I can just.
It's on Hulu.
Say no more.
Yep.
Say no more. All right, The Veil. All right, I see the show recommendations. That's gonna be good for the people that's tapping in after the show. The shot needs to end. All right, we will be back next week. All 32 back on Thursday. Appreciate everybody who tapped in live. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. Apple side or Spotify side, do the same thing. Show your support, rate and review. It's free to do so, man. It takes 2 seconds to do it too. Yep. Oh Lord Jesus.
Man, we don't use that word. Come on, bro.
All right, we up out of here, man. He got too comfortable, bro. All right, we up out of here, man. Y'all take it easy. Peace.